Welcome back, everybody. Episode 9 of the postseason pod. Myself and Bryce here to talk to you about a pretty eventful week in the NHL. Looking forward to another good week of NHL games. Decent slate last night, big slate tonight, and upcoming nights as well. So I'm excited to get into it. A few little announcements, little housekeeping items, a few call-ups, a few injuries to talk about. We have actually just recently, about 20, 30 minutes ago, Kasperi Kapanen, who was placed on waivers yesterday, was claimed by Edmonton. Um, Solid depth piece. He's a speedy guy. Maybe he can find some chemistry with some guys in the bottom six, maybe sneak his way up into the top six, second line to play with Draisaitl. Seems to have the Skinner and Arvidsson experiments aren't really working out how they would have expected to. Um, Out west again, Yaroslav Askarov was called up. He's been dominating in the AHL. Rookie goaltender, sort of, big aspirations for him in the Sharks organization. Gave up a decent amount to get him from the Predators. And then a few injuries of note. One happened last night in Utah. Big injury. Coming off 2 goals in the first 2 periods. Alex Ovechkin took a knee from Jack McBain. Concern is MCL. Should be week to week is what he's considered as right now. But yeah, it sucks to see. He was scoring at a rapid pace, and he was inching closer to Gretzky. I think it's, what is it, 26 goals away now? 26?
Yeah, 26,
Yeah.
27.
Yeah, 26 goals away now. He'll be sidelined for a few weeks, hopefully at the best, at the most ideal situation. Austin Matthews has been out for a little while. He's over in Germany seeing a specialist that he's sort of seen before. Tree Living assured the fans and everybody else that it wasn't anything serious, and it wasn't anything more severe than what they thought. So he should be back and ready to go, maybe just after the weekend or on the weekend. And then little scary scene. I don't know if we talked about it, but this is an Islanders news. Mike Riley got hit the other week. Went into concussion protocol, and during concussion testing, it was revealed that he needed to have a heart procedure. So he'll be out several months, they say. He'll be able to return back to 100% and play again once he's done with the procedure. But as Lamoriello said, it was sort of a blessing in disguise during the testing that this procedure was caught. You never want to, hear about stuff like that. But yeah, just some housekeeping items. You got any more housekeeping items?
Yeah, I mean, that Mike Riley thing, it is annoyingly a blessing in disguise. But I hope his operations today, and I'm sure we'll hear some good news later on. But yeah, just like some rapid fire, I guess. Andre Vasilevsky, quickest goalie to 300 wins. It only took him 490 games. McDavid, 1,000 points. He's now fourth on the list. I don't know if we said it last time, but Braden McNabb, ex-King, signed an extension with the VGK Vegas 3 times 365.
He's one of the
Devon Let,
original ones too.
huh?
He's one of the original misfits too. He's been there the
Yeah,
whole time, so it's good to see him re-sign for that.
yeah. Devon Levy got sent down, and he was replaced by James Reimer. And then I guess our first like little bit of talking point could be Ryan Reaves and Darnell Nurse. He's out 5 to 10 days
Yeah.
after that big hit, and Ryan Reaves got a 5 game suspension.
Yep. 5 games.
And we've seen the videos. I'm sure everyone else has. So, do you think it's deserved? Do you think it's too much? Yeah. Like, what's your takes on it?
Yeah, obviously it happened, hockey night in Canada, Saturday night, Leafs Oilers. So, big game. Um, we've heard people in the hockey world talk about it over the last few days. I've been able to formulate a little bit of opinion on it. But I think a big thing was, when a D is trying to come around the net like that, they try to hug the net, right? To, gain as much ice as possible, have the most options. And you can see like in the video, he just sort of like bobbles the puck, Darnell Nurse, and sort of takes his focus away from the play he's trying to make up the wall, up the middle, whatever. And Reaves, he's a person with history in the league, history with the Department of Player Safety. Um, and, just it was sort of after a slew of, special teams in the games, throw the fourth line out there, try to get some energy back in the building. I think they just killed off a power play. So, try to get some more momentum built off that. And he just sort of um, runs through Darnell Nurse's head, unfortunately. The contact was to the head. I think a big issue that people had was that Department of Player Safety may have had is that the fact that he could have hit the shoulder and he just sort of like missed the shoulder, unfortunately. And then obviously, upon impact, it looked like Nurse was out. Cold started bleeding when his head hit the ice. So obviously, a little bit of a vulgar image on the ice, and you never want to see that. But yeah, I think 5 games may be a little too much. I think 3 games was worthy. 5 games maybe just to set an example a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think there was an intent to injure. I just thought that there was an instance where Reaves could have avoided this direct head contact, and he sort of just missed, unfortunately. And I think that may have had to do with a little bit of Nurse sort of like reaching for the puck after he bobbled it. Um, but yeah, I think 3 games would have been sufficient, but I think 5 to sort of set the tone and be like, hey, you've been in this position before. You've been suspended before. You sort of have a rapport with the league of doing potentially harmful things. But I was okay with 5 games, but I think it could have been reduced as well. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think you basically summed up what I think of it. I think his track record is the only reason why he got 5, and it was more of like, all right, you got strike one, strike two. Now we got to up it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, if this happens to anyone else in the league, I think 3 games, 3 games, is probably the not I don't want to say correct amount, but would have been,
Yeah,
yeah, the
more than enough to
exactly,
send
yeah.
the message. Yeah,
But it's interesting to see now 5 games, and Reeves has he might lose that roster spot to someone else in
yeah,
Toronto.
they called up Fraser Minton today. He's a promising prospect down in the Marlies organization, so he'll get some run tonight. I forget who they play, home game, but I forget who it is. Um, but yeah, also Yarncroke for them is out with an injury. I think he had groin surgery potentially, so he'll be out for a little bit. So they're sort of losing forwards rather. I mean, not quickly, but a few key pieces. Camp went on IR today as well, so um, that bottom six is losing some bodies pretty quickly. Obviously, Reeves will be back in a week and a half, 2 weeks, whenever those 5 games are up. But um, I've never understood. Are they allowed to practice while they're suspended? Probably, right? Maybe with the scratches or something.
I think with the scratches, yeah, and
Mhm.
they play tomorrow versus Vegas.
Oh, they don't play tonight? Oh, okay. Um,
But I
yeah,
think you're right with scratches.
I've always wondered. Maybe they just, are able to get on the ice before the team. But yeah, something, the inside and ins and outs of the NHL that, we don't get access to, but, some questions that are somewhat important at some times and something that fans might want to know. But yeah, I would assume they probably just gave with like the injured guys and the scratches maybe, but yeah,
I'd say so.
yeah.
Should we go
Next
to
up,
the rivals, or
the what?
should we go to the rivals with the Boo Birds?
Yeah, sure. What do you got for us?
Well, didn't know if you knew this, but the Bruins stink.
Yeah,
Uh,
they suck.
yeah, we were talking about it earlier. They just lost at home. Swayman started and played the whole game. They just lost 5-1 to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they gave up 3 or 2 shorthanded. I
I
mean,
remember there's the two
two
shorties.
two shorties.
Two
Yeah,
shorties, yeah.
they gave up 2 shorties. Yeah, just just this team has been fans are obviously Boston fans. They're quick, I guess you could say, and they're not liking this, especially after a huge offseason that they had. The whole Swayman saga on the beginning, Lindholm, Zadorov. Yeah, Coyle's not really producing, Zaka's not producing, Pasternak's not producing. And Marchand, you can't really expect anything from him. He's a UFA, 3 surgeries in the offseason. So, I mean, yeah, just a total perfect storm, I guess you could say, for the Boston Bruins right now. And Jim Montgomery with the biggest question mark.
Yeah, he's it's sort of coming all at them pretty quick. I think a lot of the Bruins fans had really high expectations. 2 years ago they won the most games ever, or second most, or whatever it was, um, in a season. And then, people thought they were going to take a big step back after that season, and they didn't win the President's Trophy again, but they came close. And then, with a lesser roster than they did the year before, they were a little surprising to some teams. And then this year they made, some pretty big signings and brought in some big names that, people thought were going to propel them to, number one in the Atlantic pretty comfortably. And unfortunately for them, those signings are going very poorly. Zadorov has been not good, taking a lot of penalties. Lindholm, I think, unfortunately, I think they're just getting what like he's worth. Unfortunately, the best season he had was he had 82 points in 80 games, I believe, or 84 and 82 or something like that. But he was playing with Kachuk and Goudreau, who both had like 115, on a Calgary Flames team that was just out of this world good. Swayman sort of held out, got what he wanted, but I think they're just not gelling, unfortunately. I think there's cross messaging going on between the players and the coaching staff. Um, I read it before we, recorded, but Clayman's got a 3.35 and an 8.88, respectively, in the two goaltending categories, and he's played 13 games. Um, I'm pretty sure they had a game in between the Dallas and the Blue Jackets game, which was the Blues, and Korpisalo played against the Blues. But I'm pretty sure in the last two games, Swayman has let up 5 to the Blue Jackets and 7 to the Stars, which 12 goals in 2 games isn't great. He's played both whole games. I think sort of. I sort of tip my cap to Montgomery for that. Just letting him play the whole game no matter what's going on. But yeah, I think, you know, I think their record's like 8-10-1, maybe
8-9-3, fourth in the Atlantic right now.
8-9-3. Okay. Um, yeah, it's, I think Montgomery's on the hot seat just because they're technically above 500, but pretty much below 500. Um, so yeah, I don't know if change needs to happen. I think they have guys that can, put the puck in the net, defend. They've got a goalie who can play well. But unfortunately, I think, the off-season rumor mill and noise and whatever has sort of leaked into the season, which, hopefully after, however, 8-9-3, what is that? Well, 20 games, um, that can sort of subside. But I think for a lot of teams, there's a mark in the season, which is Thanksgiving, which is like that's how your season's going to go.
Yeah.
So, what Thanksgiving is 15, 16 days away. So hopefully, for them, if they want to make a big push, then no, not 16 days away.
Yeah, how's that?
It's a week from this Thursday, 9 days away, 9, 10 days away. Um, that's sort of the mark that teams are like, all right, we can play some meaningful games this summer or this spring. So hopefully that for them they can sort of get on a little bit of a roll. But I'm not particularly. I don't know if I'm worried, but I'm not. I'm just not moved by the fact that they're not doing well. Like it's. I think
Yeah.
it's inevitable that the Bruins at some point have to make some big changes with either lineup, coach, whatever. But it's just sort of a I don't really like the Bruins, so I don't really care that they're not doing well. But yeah, if I was a Bruins fan, I'd be less than pleased.
Yeah, it's just weird too, because like I mean, obviously we talked about the lack of production, but like their power play is awful,
Yeah.
and then you bring in a guy like Lindholm, right? A guy, granted, like you said, like maybe his numbers are a little more bloated than how he actually plays, but like still should be like your second line at least. Like he's getting replaced by like a fourth line, Kepka, whatever, Cole Kepka, like like that. There's no fluidity right now, and I think if you change Montgomery, it's just like you might get a week or 2 weeks of like, oh, like guys realizing like, oh, like like a fire under their, but
Yeah.
like I don't think it'd do much. I think this team's just sitting right where the Islanders are, and I could easily see them not making the playoffs and letting Ottawa or Buffalo overtake them. This team,
Ottawa. The rebuild is over in Ottawa. Come on.
the they got there's no spark. There's nothing special about them. I mean, there's nothing much more to say. You
Yeah,
know,
I was just looking at, the Bruins. 5 of their next 6 games are against teams that are below or at 500.
Utah to tomorrow, right?
Utah Thursday, Saturday Detroit, Tuesday of next week is Van, who's above 500. Islanders are 500, Pitt's below, Montreal's below. So if you're them and you have a date of
Thanksgiving or that December 1st, let's say, just to include that, sixth game, if they can go 5-1 in some fashion, whether it's 5 overtime wins or whatever, I don't care how you get 5 wins. It goes in the win column.
Exactly.
Um, they'll be at 13, 10-3, which will give them 29 points in 26 games, I think.
Uh, yeah, that sounds about right. I mean,
Which is, it's not good. I mean, it's fine for them, right? It's fine. But, um, you know, I think Montgomery has sort of he hasn't preached. He's been a good defensive, structured coach the whole time. And some of these, goal amounts they're letting up is pretty alarming, in my opinion. I
es-
mentioned, yeah, let's see.
especially because the argument before Swayman was, does their system allow Corpusalo to be a starter?
Yeah. So we had 5 against the Blue Jackets, 3 against St. Louis, like whatever. A lot of teams give up 3 goals. 7 against Dallas, so that's 15 in 3 games. 2 against St. Louis again, so that's 17. 20. They have 3 against Ottawa, that's 20 in 5 games. So like they're giving up just over 4 goals or 4 goals a game in the last 5 games. And for a team that's struggling offensively and giving up that many goals is not good. Not good.
No.
So I think for Bruins fans, they need to, get on their horse a little bit. But yeah, I don't know if a firing is gonna come in the front office. Do you think Montgomery will have his job by December 1st?
Yeah, I think so because I mean, all you got to lose, like if you're out 1 year in the playoffs, like even for a team like Boston, like that's it's okay. Like,
I don't
but
think they
like
can afford that. I'm
you
gonna
don't think they can
disagree. I'm
afford
gonna
that?
disagree, but
All right. I just feel like, look, right? If put it this way, if they make the playoffs, it's coming down to March and April, right?
yeah.
It's coming down to, it's
Unless they
coming.
go on like a heater where they win like 12 in a row. But yeah.
Yeah, that's if. And you got to think, if they change, Montgomery has, this is his last year, right?
I don't
Clearly,
I don't know, maybe.
no, I'm saying like contract wise, like there is no, there's nothing new. Next, like he's not a Bruins coach officially next year. That's what I'm saying. So it's
Oh,
like,
is his contract up? I didn't know that.
yeah, no, this is He's a UFA, I guess you would
Oh,
say.
okay, I got you. Yeah.
So I'm saying like if you fire him, all you can hope is that they turn around to a playoff team. But if you don't fire him, then maybe he's the guy. I mean, he's clearly quick tempered. Maybe he's still the guy that can, like you said, can put them on a crazy Christmas or All-Star, break streak and like squeak them in. But like he's done at the end of the season anyway. Just I'd say ride him out.
Right amount. Yeah. Um, yeah, I was actually thinking like I was talking to one of my friends and he was like, "Why does every team get an all-star?" Because we were watching the Hawks and he was like, "There's no all-stars on this team." I was like, "I know." And I was like, "Wait, hold on. There's no all-star game this year. Like, let's go.
Yeah,
Like, it's just a." I was like, "Hold on. There's no all-star game this year." But that was a little side tangent when you said the all-star break because I was like, "Oh wait, there's no all-star game this year."
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank
Sorry.
thank thank God, because yeah, whatever. But um, moving swiftly on, I touched on it earlier. The winged wheel, the Detroit Red Wings, another coach who may be on the hot seat, Derek Lalonde. Um, they just went out west playing California. They went 0-3. I don't care how they went 0-3. They could have gone 0-3, but they lost all three games. They lost to the Ducks, they lost to the Sharks, and they lost to the Kings. Um, just the team that, has been. This is actually my issue with the Blackhawks, and I'll touch on it in a minute. But the Iser plan has taken too long.
Hmm.
I think that, there's been so much hope, young guys, draft picks, high draft picks, mid draft picks, like steals, whatever, goaltending prospects. But the team is just so mediocre when it goes on the ice, right? Like
Yeah.
they've they've tried to insert Tarasenko. It's just like a whatever signing in my opinion. He's old. He can't do what he did when he was on the Blues. Kane had a strong tenure with them last year. Hasn't really sort of felt himself, or his game hasn't been up to where he would like it, and he's admitted that. Which I think that that's the first thing out of any player when they admit that they can be better. Um, Larkin seems to be the only guy that's going for them right now. I think he's got 11 goals, which would put him at, tied for fifth in the league in goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, fifth in the league for goals with 11. Yeah, yeah, 11. He scored last night. But um, I think it's just like how they've been losing. They've lost a lot of close games. So I think that, gives some guys some hope. Um, DeBrincat, he's been okay. Raymond hasn't looked like the Raymond from last year. Sider hasn't been great. Edvinson has been good though. A little bright spot for them on the back end. They're getting good goaltending from Cam Talbot too, which is unfortunate because they can't take advantage of that. I don't know if you saw Celebrini's overtime winner last night, but it was sort of a squeaker. Wasn't a great goal, but it's just sort of it's depressing, like every year they're like, all right, this is our year, like we're gonna be in the playoffs. It's sort of like the Sabres and the Senators, like, but I just felt at the start of the year the Senators were sort of above that. Um, but yeah, I think Lalonde's gonna be fired by Christmas, unfortunately. I think that I mean their next game they play is the Islanders,
I know.
so they'll probably shut out the Islanders.
That game's circled in the calendar as a win.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're 28th in the league right now. They have a minus 14 goal differential, and they are 3-5-2 in their past 10 games. Um, I don't think anybody's worse than that in the last 10 games. No, nobody's worse than that. They're tied for the worst with 3 wins. But
But
yeah,
their power play is like one of the best in the league.
yeah, but who even cares? Like
Yeah, no.
Larkin scored last night. Marco Casper scored on the power play last night. A little young, promising rookie, sort of found his groove in California. Michael Rasmussen scored, but it was an own goal by the Sharks. Like went off one of their players. Um, and then DeBrincat scored a power play goal with 3 minutes left in the game to tie the game. So I don't know. I'm confused by the Red Wings, unfortunately. I'm confused by them. Cam Talbot has sort of made a statement for the Four Nations goaltending spot because he's played pretty well. But yeah, I do not think Derek Lalonde will be behind the bench for much longer.
It's their defense. That's their problem.
Yeah, their defense is
Their
so
defense
bad.
is so bad.
So bad.
So bad.
So bad.
And it's just terrible. I mean,
like what? Like why would Eiserman trade Wallman for 2 seconds? I don't understand. Like
yeah.
it makes no sense. They have Sider, Edvinson first pair. They have
And they got that one guy in the chamber in Sweden.
Petrie and Sherratt, second pair, I think. Let's look on Daily Faceoff.
Petrie has 2 points.
Yeah. He got reverse hit by somebody yesterday.
Oh, really?
Maybe not yesterday, but it was over the weekend. He got smoked. It may have been Svechnikov, actually. Have they played recently? I think so.
Petrie, Gustafson, and Sherratt have a total of 4. They have a total of 7 points.
Yeah. Yeah. Edvinson, Sider, Sherratt, Petrie, Gustafson, Hull. Like, those are just walking minuses.
Hull has 1 point. But
yeah, like, just bad defense. They got rid of Mata, who's sure on the defensive end. Yeah. Not really sure why Hull and Gustafson. He's better than all 4 of those guys, in my opinion. But yeah, their defense is horrendous. I just think it might be time for some new faces up there in Motown, unfortunately for them. But
I think Stevie Y is done after the year.
Yeah, I think they have to look at that. I think they have to really evaluate.
9 years, right? Or is this the 9th or 8th year?
I don't know what
it's something. It's something long.
It's been long, yeah.
It's something long.
But his draft picks have been decent, right? Like they've been pretty good. But I think it's just like there needs to be some new juice over there up in Detroit.
Yeah.
Another guy I'm going to talk about, he's been on fire, 13-game point streak, my boy Martin Necas. He's not even playing with the top guys. He's not playing with Aho. He's not playing with Svechnikov, obviously, on the power play. He's playing with those guys. He's doing it on a line with Kotkaniemi and Eric Robinson, who's just been like, 2 guys, but he has 30 points, I believe it is. Maybe, yeah, 30 points. He had 4 points the other afternoon against the Blues. Everything just seems to be going sort of his way. He held out for a contract. He knew what he was worth. They gave him a bridge deal, but he sort of outperformed that. He's just been a joy to watch, right? He's quick, can make plays in tight spaces. And yeah, I think if he keeps going at this pace, I think he's on pace for like 140 points. I don't think he keeps that pace up. He's up top in the goals. I think he has 11 goals, maybe 12 goals.
11 and 19.
Yeah, 11 and 19. So, I think he's scoring at like 48 goal, 100 assist pace. Like that's not going to happen. But
unless he keeps his hair dyed.
Yeah, I actually saw it was like brunette Necas had like 0 points in 2 games, and then like blonde Necas has 30 points in 18 games, or however many games they've played since then. But yeah, he's been a joy to watch. 13-game point streak, like I said. I think they play tonight. I'm pretty sure. I think they may be at home tonight against somebody, maybe.
Well, they're a wagon. Anyway.
They don't play. They play tomorrow. They're on TNT tomorrow against the Flyers in Philly, so he probably will keep his point streak there. but yeah, I've really been impressed by him. I've always liked his game. He's got a unique, size and skill and speed, sort of attribute. But yeah, I think it's, I, I would put him in the heart conversation right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, Definitely, I think, you know, it's like him, Kaprizov. Um,
Rantanen is what, 28 points? I
yeah,
mean,
Rantanen and McKinnon probably have to be up there. McCarr probably. Those three guys have sort of been carrying the Avalanche a little bit.
Draisaitl's been for the
And
Oilers
Draisaitl,
like a
but
little, like not as much, but like
yeah, McDavid will probably be in there just because it's him.
yeah,
But yeah, I've been really impressed with him. Really excited to see if he can eclipse that point per game mark for the first time in his career. I think the most he's had is like 70. He's definitely on pace to do that right now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching some more of Martin Necas.
yeah.
I think there's another guy that has been struggling for a while. My player comp in real life, Elias Pettersson. Ever since he's signed his new contract, he's been probably one of the worst value players in the league. To keep it, pretty
Yeah.
open, and it's true. He was probably one of the worst value players for 11.5 million. He had like 2 goals in 32 games, dating back to last season, but he has 4 goals in his last five. I think he's got like 6 points, maybe. A lot of it's on the power play. I'm not going to say it's not. Um, he was able to score a few against the Blackhawks. I think maybe one or two. But yeah, good to see a guy like that sort of find his footing again. He's been one of my favorite players for a while. Sort of, I remind my, I see myself in him a little bit, which not great for some areas of the game, but other areas of the game is good. Um, I think a big issue with him was just like his compete for a while. Like he was just
Yeah.
sort of like not not there like mentally. He wasn't getting in the battles. He wasn't trying to win pucks back. See, yeah,
Sort of like Dubois for like a little bit. He doesn't
exactly.
you don't see him like giving 110.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Petey's got 6 points in his last 5 games. So that's half of his point total. So he has 11 and 17. So before these last 5 games, he had 5 points in 12 games. And that was only 1 goal. So, yeah, I think it's good to, see him sort of get back on track. Um, JT Miller, unfortunately, had to leave the team for personal reasons today. So hopefully that allows PD to sort of, you know, take that number one center role. Besser's out for a little bit for the foreseeable future. So yeah, this is sort of the time where they need him to take that next step. He's been there before. He's been a 100-point guy before. They've called up Jonathan Lekarmaki. He's an offensive juggernaut. He's been playing well so far with JT Miller. We saw what he could do in World Junior. Goal scoring wise in the AHL, I think he has 5 goals in 7 games. I think he scored 2 points in 4 games thus far, 1 goal, 1 assist in his AHL time or NHL time this season. So yeah, excited to see what that's all about. Maybe they play together. Maybe it's a little bit of a Swedish connection. But yeah, two guys that can, healthily score a good amount of goals in this league. We've seen it before from one of them. Hopefully, an exciting rookie can sort of, rejuvenate his confidence, playing with a guy that, hopefully he can create some chemistry with. But yeah, good to see EP40 playing well. And yeah, I think next we should probably go. I'm going to talk about a guy again, underrated guy, helping Ovi, Dylan Strome, ex
Oh,
Blackhawk. I don't know if you have some thoughts on him. Seems like you do. So
he
go for it. Take it away.
sorry. Yeah, I mean, talk about a guy not getting the flowers he deserves, right? Like it, just he's 28 points this year
I know
so
it's
far.
crazy.
Like and 22 are assists. I just had to check, but 22 are assists. I mean, his game, like not only, I mean, obviously we just talked about points, right? 28 points. Like that's unreal for Dylan Strome. But like his game ever since moving to Washington has just become just a lot better, I guess. Just I
Yeah.
mean, to put it generally and broadly, he wins a lot more puck battles. I don't know how many Caps games you've watched, but like there's one thing that I think that he's improved tremendously since being with the Hawks is his puck protection. I expect like going like when he's around the net, like I don't know why I'm pretending to hold a stick, but when he's like going around the net or doing button turns, like his protecting the puck skills have drastically improved. And I think, with living with so much confidence right now and having the amount of points that he has and how well he's producing and how well the Caps are playing, all this confidence, it just goes to his skill level. It shows it off, and like for like that puck protection, like since he's become a lot better at it, he buys himself a lot more time, and since became such a better hockey player, he can now do a more skillful player look for that pass since he created himself more time. I mean, I think it just goes to show like never write a guy off too quick. Sometimes a change of scenery is all a guy can need. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean Dylan Strome, he deserves a little more, which I think he's gotten the publicity a little bit. But yeah, I mean a guy that's going under the radar for sure, and he's playing some really, really good hockey right now.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I watched him a lot when he was in Chicago. I think, throughout his whole career, he's played with some skilled guys. And in junior, he played with McDavid and DeBrincat. Um, he's playing with Ovi now in Washington. I think something that doesn't get called or brought to attention enough is the value that guys who are able to play with the skill and top guys bring, right? Like I think, I hate to bring it back to Chicago now, but I don't think there's a guy that is able to play with Connor, unfortunately. Like, I don't think there's
Yeah,
a guy that, like, thinks the game, processes the game. Like, those guys are really valuable. Like, you see a guy like Brandon Hagel. Like, if you put him with any top guy in the league, like, he'll perform, right? I think Dylan Strome's another one of those guys. Like, he's just able to see the game, slow the game down, and sort of process the game at the rate that the best players in the world do. Um, and that's really valuable. I think, kudos to like a guy like Zuccarello. He's been a top guy for a long time, but um, he has no issue with playing up to the speed and the process that Kaprizov plays with. Um, so I think that's an invaluable thing that people don't realize a lot is that it's really hard to play with skilled players. Like
yeah,
obviously they make you better. Hyman's another one of those guys. Like, um, and I think I myself sometimes do this, but like people only think these people are good because of who they play with. But like that's a skill, right? Like, so I think a guy like Dylan Strome, who I don't know, you probably saw his goal this morning, but I was watching the game last night. And the patience he just had, like came in the zone, sort of avoided a guy and it was sort of off a broken play where he got the puck, but took a shot and, it was a save by Ingram. And then he just had the wherewithal to, be like, hey, the goalie's outside the post. Like, I'm going to throw it off his back leg and go in. Like,
yeah,
so it's those little plays like that. And, the play he made I mean, it's a secondary assist, but he sort of made the play on the power play for Ovechkin's goal. It was sort of a tie up in the faceoff, but he was just able to get his stick around and sort of win that puck back to Carlson. And it's those little plays like that. Like, if he doesn't turn around and, just whack that puck with one stick back to Carlson, that's probably a clear for Utah, right? And that'll waste, 12 to 17 seconds on the power play. So I think it's the little plays that go and recognize that he's become really good at. So yeah, I'm really happy for him. A little annoyed that we couldn't unleash his development sooner in Chicago, and we gave him a little bit of a longer leash. But yeah, I think it's great for him that he's sort of excelling, at a really high rate.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what the rest of the season brings. maybe he might get a little bit of a dip in production because Ovechkin isn't on his line anymore.
Let's
But
go.
I think that he's playing at such a high clip that, whoever they put up there, he'll be able to gel with pretty quickly. Same with a guy like Mike McMichael. He's been
Yo,
great too.
unbelievable. Yeah.
I think he's got 11 or 12 goals. I think it's 11.
Yeah.
Um, and they're all even strength. He has 11 even strength goals this year. All of them are even strength. So just another, guy that's, going in notice. Maybe it's a little bit of a smaller market. Also, everything's going on Ovi, which deservedly so. He's leading the league in goals at 39 years old. But yeah, just a guy that I'm really happy for. I think deserves a little bit of praise. And yeah, you got anything else for us? Be glad.
We don't need to talk about him, but just another guy that is a point per game that I was thinking about today. Um, did you know Mikhail Grenlin's 20 for 20? Yeah. So there's a lot. I think I'd say right now the NHL there's a lot of guys producing at a high level.
Yeah.
Which is great to see. So
Yeah, he's making a case for that top six on Team Finland for Four Nations for sure. Um, so yeah, I think what was I gonna say? Um, I forget, but I'll say this instead. Dustin Wolf has been great. Touch on him pretty quickly. He's played 9 games. I'm pretty sure he's 6-2-1 with like a 9-2 something and a low twos goals against average. Smaller in stature, but this guy can play. He's been able to play at every league he's been in. But yeah, this guy can play. Excited to watch him against the Islanders tonight. He'll probably shut out the Islanders. But
he got
yeah.
his first last week.
Oh yeah, and it'll come again. Well, he shut out Trotz, I think.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So,
Nashville.
so he'll shut out Lamoriello this time.
Yeah.
Little Islanders connection there for you folks, but yeah, I think just a lot of guys that are producing at a high rate. Also, I think it came out last week that the average save percentage for NHL goalies dropped below 900 for like the first time since
Wow.
like whenever the stat was. But I think that just speaks to like the high volume that guys are shooting at, the skill of the league. I don't think it really has anything to do with the goalies, right? I think it's just like, guys are getting better, plays are getting more complicated. I think there's turnover every like half decade or so of like new revolutionary plays come into the league. And it's just harder for goalies to score. Obviously, or goalies to score, goalies to make saves, but obviously they get adjusted. You think of high power plays where they were there and then they weren't, and then the slingshot entry got added in the power play. Like it's just like how the game grows. So I don't think it's anything against the goalies, but it's just interesting to see that the goal scoring is at a high rate.
Yeah, and to think just for more Nashville connection that year when it was the All-Star game, and when they lost to Pittsburgh in the final, they wanted to shrink the goalie pads.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, but yeah, I think you put it greatly. I think it's just a pat on the back for the players coming to the league and the players that are still producing at a high level today. So.
Yeah, agreed. All right, you got anything else for us or no?
Not that I know of. You?
No? Awesome. All right. Episode 9, we'll be back probably next week, definitely next week. We'll be I'll be in a different setting, but Thanksgiving week. I'm sure we'll have some exciting stuff to talk about from the weekend and stuff like that. So appreciate everybody tuning in. See you guys next week for the 10th episode. So appreciate everybody. Thanks.